Scheduled maintenance is a relationship building process, and if we take the time to build the relationship with a customer through the early years of ownership, what does that mean, the early years of ownership? First oil change booking, and I'm going to give you in a dealership, the opportunity is during the warranty period. Would you agree with that? If we foster the relationship during the early years of ownership and foster it through the rest of the ownership cycle, loyalty brings them back. That's where customer retention comes from. Loyalty. Now that was a guy from Ford Consumer Division, and I found this to be a very interesting statement considering what the manufacturers are doing now with customers and extended maintenance, right? On one side of their mouth, they're saying, hey, you got to foster that relationship with the customer. On the other side of their mouth, they're saying, hey, don't maintain the car, right? I mean, GM is horrible with that. Is there any GM stores in here? No. Good, we can pick on them a little bit. Ford too.
We don't have any GM or Ford stores.
Excellent. Slam them, baby. GM is horrible about that, right? They're absolutely on a mission to train their customers not to maintain the car. To the extent that I read an article in a trade magazine about 2 months ago that says GM is this close from finishing engineering on a vehicle that has no hood. No joke. Look it up on the internet. No maintenance, no repairs. Like a Bic lighter, throw it away when it breaks. Now, because of the fact that they can't keep a car going during the warranty period at General Motors, I'm going to be very interested to see how that pans out for them. I have a funny feeling it's not going to work so well, but they're literally in process of engineering a vehicle with no hood because they don't want people touching the car anymore. They're getting that serious about no maintenance. So the technician, if you had a major assembly failure, is going to have to literally disassemble the whole front of the car to get the engine out of that thing. So, you know, of course, our pay times are going to go up along with that, right?
Well, with the Ford diesels, to work on the engine, you actually have to pull
That's right.
the body, separate the body and the chassis.
And that's gas and diesel engines. The 5.4s, the cab has to come off. The diesels, the cab has to come off. You go into a Ford dealership today, any of the pickup trucks they're working on, the body's in the air, the chassis is on the ground. It's literally like that. Oh, the spark plugs breaking off are a beautiful thing, aren't they? You know? Oh, yeah. And then Ford came out with this really cool tool to fix that, right? That takes about 15 hours to perform. And all they really need to do is put a carbon remover in that engine and soften up the carbon, and the plugs come right out. But that's Ford engineering for you, right? They know what they're doing. We don't. Use this tool. And don't maintain it, by the way. We estimate that there are $10 million worth of maintenance and light repair services performed annually on Ford vehicles registered in an average dealer's territory. Think about that opportunity, right? All this stuff we're talking about with the business realigning is opportunity for everyone in this room, isn't it, if you want to look at it that way? Because do you guys think that at Toyota or Hyundai or Chrysler, you're doing $10 million a year in service work? No, probably not. But that statistically is the case in an average dealer's territory in a metro market. $10 million a year. So how much unperformed maintenance and repair work is going on out there, really? It's incredible. Now, maintenance sales help us to properly care for the customer's vehicle. I want to key in on the word properly there, right? 10, 15, 20K oil change intervals is not properly caring for that customer's car. We know that because we fix the sludge buckets when they come in, right? The maintenance sales help us to provide a dynamic profit center for the service department. What I mean by dynamic is that maintenance, from a profit standpoint, overcomes everything else you can do in that business, including warranty and repairs. Because if you're swapping dollar for an hour in repairs, you're missing the boat. Yes?
You specifically, when it comes to the maintenance schedules that come with the vehicles, what do you tell a customer when they say, well, my maintenance book says 10,000 kilometers for my first oil change?
That's an awesome question, and if you'll indulge me for a minute, I'm going to have a slide on that in about 10 minutes, and I'm going to directly hit you with that answer, okay? And if I don't, mug me at the break and say, you didn't get it done for me, Gary. Easy. Maintenance work provides work to offset diagnostic and repair losses. Now that's a huge statement considering that today cars are getting way easier to work on, right? And more humor, guys.
It's all nuts and bolts.
Oh yeah, right? You go down in a shop where they're reflashing a PCM and making a VCI communicate with a satellite on a Lexus and all the stuff they got going on, and it's very easy to see that that was truly humor. The cars are getting much harder to work on. So here's the thing. If you have technicians that are banging their face against the wall for 14 hours trying to get an airbag light on the dash of a car, isn't it nice if we have a maintenance program set up so that we can sell some gravy for these guys and let them make some work, right? Let them make some hours. That's huge. Flat rate technicians today are getting beat up hour-wise way worse than they ever have because of high-tech problems. You know, intermittence, we're going to talk about intermittence this afternoon. Intermittence will kill a technician's paycheck, especially if he's a drivability specialist. If that's all he gets to work on is drivability, he's truly raising skinny kids, right? Because it's very difficult without that maintenance work to make a paycheck getting check engine lights, airbag lights, and ABS lights out on the dashboard. It really, truly is. So this is a very, very important component here in 2010, where maybe 20 years ago it wasn't, right? We've got to be able to feed our guys some good work. Maintenance sales helps to give us a higher level of credibility with our customers. Now, why do you suppose I'd make that statement, and how would maintenance sales give us a higher level of credibility with the customers? Take a guess.
Proper operating cars creates retention, creates happy people.
Ding, ding, ding,
whether
ding,
you're
ding.
spending money or not, it's working.
Absolutely. We have a winner. Here, have a book.
Thanks, I already got one.
All right, give it to someone else then. Am I right though? Because if a customer goes through a factory maintenance program, misses all the critical service that he needs, and the transmission decides to Buick at 80,000 kilometers, what's he thinking? He's going to blame...
Why didn't somebody tell me to flush it?
Right. He's going to blame two people for that problem, isn't he? He's going to blame the manufacturer and the servicing dealer. Both of those affect everyone in this room, right? Because if that guy comes up with that opinion that Toyota's a piece of crap and the dealer didn't keep me out of trouble, guess what? He's never coming back to buy another Toyota. Bottom line, right? Here's the big thing. We want to spread out the service dollars over the life of the car, bringing the customer back in repeatedly over time and giving them smaller bills. Would you guys agree with me that the size of the bills that we're giving customers today are beginning to become close to the outrageous? I mean, when I started in this business in 1979, let me assure you of something. Even if you gave a Cadillac customer an $800 bill, he'd be clutching his chest on the service desk and you'd have to call 911. Today, $800 is chump change on a service desk. Literally. How many of you guys in this room have given your customer an invoice for over $1,500 in the last 30 days? Okay, keep them up if you've given them an invoice for over $2,000. Keep looking around the room, guys. 2,500. Hey, 2,500, 2,500. Do we hear 3,000, 3,000? Look at that. Let me ask you guys this question. There's an old saying in the farming industry. How many times can you shear a sheep?
Hit him once and never see him again.
You bet. Hit them once, maybe twice if they trust you and you have a relationship. Hit them maybe twice with one of those bills and you'll never see them again. Sometimes you lose them after the first time. Because normally in this industry now, with factory Bible believers and maintenance being what it is, the factory maintenance schedules being what they are, that car comes apart in due form at 85, 90K, 100K. And that's the guy that you're going to hand a bill for $3,000, because if they didn't follow the maintenance schedule, and let's say they come to Auto Canada and they didn't buy here and they don't have the benefit of a good group that coaches people on maintenance, and that Toyota shows up in your store all wrung out at 100K, right? And your advisor hands the bill across the desk and it's a $3,500 quote. What's that customer thinking? My goodness, what are these people doing? But why is it that that car needed $3,000 worth of work? Because they didn't keep up. So the day it hits your dealership with all these problems, right? It needs struts, it needs brakes, it needs every fluid in the car changed. It's stalling and idling up and down because nobody's ever done an injection service on it, right? It's never had maintenance. So you guys do the right thing by pointing out to the customer what it needs. You come to the desk with that RO, but my question goes back again to how many times can you shear a sheep? This is a great strategy for a dealer group. Have them come in and just hit them a little bit at a time and only give him what he needs. You know, one of the things I hated about this industry, even as a service director, were these package services. Even though we know we need to do package services based on mileage and based on what the factory says, we got to a point in the industry in the late 80s, early 90s where it was a menu wars between dealerships. Who's got the cheapest menu? So at the end of the day, you'd end up with a check, 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 and an oil change for $499. Hell of a value for the customer, isn't it? How many of you guys would have ever gone maybe back in 1995 to a dealership on your own car, being in the car business, and give them the money for a 30K or 50K service? Nobody, because you know what it's all about, right? You sold them all day long. This is one of the reasons that the partnership between AutoCanada and BG becomes so important, because now when you're asking the customer to spend money, you're putting meat and potatoes into that customer's car, and you're truly maintaining it. You're not doing check, and an oil change for $500, hopefully. According to the maintenance menu I saw that Doug and the team developed, I think it's a great menu. Would you guys agree? I mean, it's great. It's got actual maintenance in it for the customer. Who knew? Actual maintenance. Wow, what a concept.